Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. Today, we have a very special topic to talk about, and that is fast fashion and its global consequences. With me today is our special guest, Jasson. Say hi.
Hi everyone, it's good to be here.
Jasson is a fashion enthusiast as well as a fashion editor. So, understanding fast fashion. What is fast fashion? It needs to be defined before we could actually debate with it. According to Google, it can be defined as cheap, trendy clothing that samples ideas from the catwalk or celebrity cultures and turns them into garments in high street stores at a breakneck speed to meet consumer demand. Now, I know, I understand that many people are of the opinion that fast fashion is just a part of life and that nothing can be consumed ethically. However, there is greener solutions to fashion and without having to take the idea of self-expression through fashion. Before we engage into our debate, we need to understand what fast fashion is. So, the first question is, Tannith, fashion carries a deep meaning for many people. Beyond self expression, what else do you think fashion represents in society?
So I think beyond self-expression, fashion is definitely a form of art. Plainly, one of some of the best artists are study anatomy of the human body, which is where fashion takes its
Yes.
forefront, which is the human body. So I think in a way, fashion is there to express yourself as a person, like a brand for yourself. Also there to just show your artistic side as a person, but deeper than that, art is there for a message and it's there for a purpose. So in correlation, fashion is there to serve a purpose. It's there to show the politics of the world. It's there
Yes.
to show socio politics in a way that we see middle, lower, and upper class. It's there to show us. It basically gives us a guide to which we view society on an international and a global spectrum.
Yes.
I think that because art is subjective, fashion in itself is also very
Subject.
subjective. But there are forms of art which are very palatable to everybody, and that's the kind of gap that a trend falls into. So I think fashion in itself is just art. Obviously, beyond expression, it gives you the wide palette of our socioeconomic,
Yes.
basically,
Yeah.
environment in today's society. So
Yeah.
that's what
So
I
it's
think it
more
is.
also like a social currency.
It's definitely a social currency,
Yes.
yes. Because if you take, for example, Shein, like a couple of years ago, it was like, girl,
It's
Shein,
cheap.
cheap. But now it's like, oh, you can afford Shein. It just
Yes.
goes to show, like, the state of our politics. And further than that, also, it's like if you don't have a good fashion sense, like the certain fashion sense that you have could maybe, for example, say the type of person that you are.
Yes.
Like for celebrities, we see that maybe some people like to wear more nude fashions, or more exposed fashions, but it has correlations with being cheap. But some people find it to be like the highest form of art.
Yes.
So we see different
Factors.
branding with
Yes.
different types of fashion. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
That is a great answer because I think a lot of people dismiss fashion as something quite
Menial.
menial. However, it's a social currency. What you wear, what brands you use for all the type of clothing that you wear is what people consider as, it tells of your social class essentially. It defines a social class. So this is the second question. I think it's almost the same as the first one. However, I think it also means something. What kind of statements do individuals make through their fashion choices?
So, like touching on what I said in the first question, as an individual, you are your brand, especially if you are in a sensitive place like the global society, which is like social media platforms, and it is a sensitive space. Let's just be
Yes.
very real with each other. It's a very sensitive space. So, I think when you are using fashion on like platforms like social media, Instagram, for example, there are fashion trends on each apps on different apps. So TikTok is very personality based, whereas Instagram it's very coveted. It's very magazine, almost like it needs to be very brushed up, very polished, very professional. in a way that like your aesthetic also just needs to be 100% curated and 100% perfect all the
Yes.
time. It doesn't have to be, but it's more likely on Instagram. So I think people use their fashion on different apps in different ways to promote the brand that they're promoting,
Yes.
you know. So for example, for me myself, if I were to promote myself on Instagram, I would carry myself in accordance to my fashion enthusiasm and my fashion editing. So very Anna Wintour, like very simple, clean, chic type of styles that play into kind of the Instagram. And then when you go on TikTok, maybe I'll share more of a day in my life, or like then I'll share what I'm wearing, the behind the scenes of what I'm wearing, but it all makes up the brand
Yes.
basically. So if I had to just basically wear like, because on touching on the topic of fast fashion, let's just say like nowadays low rise jeans are the trend,
Yes. Yes. They have
and
come
like
back.
high crop tops, yes, they came back, and thin eyebrows. So when we are touching on that, like I would dress more like that on TikTok, and like, you know, the slides and like maybe dance videos on TikTok. So that brand, I'm catering to the younger audience. And then if I go to Instagram, I would wear my button up with my chic like chino pants and my heels, my pointy heels, because I'm obviously appealing to a different type of brand because I'm more in my professional capacity when you're on. So it
Yes.
depends on the social media, it depends on your platform, but it depends on you as the brand, how you use
Yes.
fashion to kind of
To make a statement.
manipulate.
Yes.
It's really manipulating or making a statement to the public.
Why do you think fast fashion has gained so much momentum in the recent years? Because I do know, although fashion has evolved, it's no longer conservative and anyone can like dress to any style. Why has it gained so much momentum in the past couple of years?
I think it's definitely all to do with social media. I think because of social media, we now realize how fast trends go in and out.
Yes.
It's also a money grab. So like the faster you can push this trend out and bring the next one in, the more money you make. And by the
Yes.
time you realize you need this amount of money to buy these types of clothing or this type of cosmetics, the next trend is already a
It's
thing.
already here.
I'm trying to think of an example. Like last year, we had the food makeup, like espresso makeup, or like, you know, like glazed donut makeup. This year, it's something completely different. It's butter yellow nails. So, like, we are very much playing into food. Also, touching on the socioeconomic currency of fashion in the world, it shows where we are in our class. Very classist. Fashion is very classist. So, I think coming back to the question about the trends, it's all to do with our social climate, our economic climate, and so it definitely dips in and out of what we are experiencing in real life. So fashion changes with the wind, literally, and that's why there are so many trends, and that's why fast fashion is becoming so much more popular amongst people, because everything is rapid. Social
Yes.
media changes so rapidly. Like even the sounds that are trending on TikTok, they
Yes.
change weekly. So I mean, imagine a trend changing so often and so much that you can't even buy clothes because you don't even know what to wear anymore,
Yes.
because there's so many things. Like, so you have to find a niche, and it's just, yeah, it's just very
Yes.
all over the shelf.
And it takes one viral post a day to change the whole algorithm where everyone is like, yes, this is what is in for today.
Yeah.
This is what is in for tomorrow. This one week, everyone could be like, drifting towards a certain color, and then the next week it's a certain shape. So it's
Yes.
has to do with trends and how fast you catch on these trends. So
Yeah,
like even
sorry.
by the time you buy the thing that's trending, by next week it will have no longer used. People will be like, that is so yesterday. I mean, speaking in Gen Z terms, that's so yesterday.
Yeah. And I think also people fail to see this often. Sometimes it's just the person that makes the trend.
Yes.
It's not the trend or the outfit itself. Because there was a time where, I think this was in 2019, where the model of duty look was like a real trend. But people fail to realize that these are models,
Yes.
supermodels, Victoria's Secret models, who have abs and muscles and all these amazing, beautiful figures that they work very hard for. But it's obviously not going to look the same on me or on your everyday regular citizen. The person actually makes the trend, because that trend is their brand. So it's got a lot to do with that. And I think many people, sometimes the body doesn't come with the outfit. They don't realize that, because even going into fashion trends, it's a fashion nowadays to be skinnier.
Mm.
Like in the past, it was a fashion trend to be skinny, but then we came like it was a fashion trend to be curvy. Now we're
Yes.
coming back
Back
into
to
that
skinny. Yes.
skinny fashion trend. So the fashion also changed, like the low-rise jeans. Obviously, people who are on the slimmer side, like the low-rise jeans looks a certain way on them, and then people who are on the curvier side, it will look a certain way on them. So I think when we dip back into trends from the past, it also dips back into the socio-economic currency of the past and the way the world works in the past. Like the conservative trend is now coming back as well. So
Yes. So,
it's
and
definitely there.
fashion, fast fashion can also be considered as, body styles. We are now into, people wanting to become more thinner, and more fitness advice is pushed out in order to fit into certain type of clothings, right? What factors do you think have contributed to the acceleration of the trend style?
Well, I spoke about a lot of the social media stuff, but I think a lot of it is maybe money. So
Yes.
companies obviously their main goal is to produce
Mm.
money. So I think when they change these trends, it's often more about what is going to work best for the company. So they play off on whatever little scraps that are left over from the previous trend,
Mm.
recycle it and make it something new.
Yes.
Money rules the world, really. So it's just pushing that. And I think also there is a genuine community that have such a deep love for fashion. Myself are included in that community, and I think because fashion stems from art, we'll never run out of it.
It's true, true.
Um, we'll never run out of sheep either. So, but
That
you
is
get what
true.
I
I
mean.
do get it.
So there's such a community that love fashion so much, that want to be so delved into fashion, and the younger generation also want to be so into fashion, and they are into fashion. So the companies, they'll always have a market. I think that's really what drives it, is the market is always very rich, very much full of young individuals with bright futures, bright eyes. They see the lights, they see the money, so it becomes more of a money grab. But there are people who are in it for the sake of
Mm.
art. So I think the money side of it definitely drives it, and there are people that still hope that fashion can just be art,
Mm.
rather than like a indicator of a
Of
recession, or
yes.
so I think that's definitely a big factor that plays
It
into
it
it.
does play into it because, like you said before, fashion is classist. So whether you're able to hop into trends like everyone as fast as it's out indicates how much money you are able to spend. And
True.
now fashion has buying into fashion has become more of a hobby than a essential need to clothe yourself.
Definitely,
Yes.
definitely, definitely.
In South Africa, now we're speaking in the South African context. In South Africa, there is a tradition of buying new clothes for festive occasions like Christmas and New Year. So, how do you think fast fashion has influenced or changed this cultural practice in South Africa?
So for me personally, my mom always would lay by my summer clothes like way before summer. It's
Mm.
obviously cheaper, and then I would have the clothes for December. So in summer, I would just have a lot of clothes, and then in winter, vice versa. Now, where fast fashion comes into play, maybe the clothes. Say for example, you lay by some clothes. For those of you who don't know what a lay-by is, let's get with the program. A lay-by is basically where you purchase clothes, but you keep them at the retail store and you pay them off in installments, and then you receive your clothes maybe in 3 months or however long your lay-by is. But basically, my mom would do that. So by the time it was December, I'd have my clothes. But nowadays, with our fast fashion and our fast pace of trends, you'd buy the clothes and then by December they'd be out of fashion already.
Mm.
So then it puts you in a very big predicament to where the companies now on purpose, like they purposefully make these clothes like not so nice, and then
Mm.
by the time December comes, you want to be buying your clothes. You'd have to be buying your clothes basically like the month of December, and they spike the prices.
Yes.
So it changed a lot of the culture in South Africa, where it's like even having Christmas clothes is like, oh, and then if you have name branded Christmas clothes, it's a very much a
Mm.
sought after thing. Name brands are also not even like a thing anymore. Like I've
Mm.
noticed, like
It's no longer a thing.
name brand, or maybe to people in a more professional setting, I don't think name brand things are like So because
Prevalent, yes.
yeah, they're not prevalent anymore, because like when I was younger, like having a pair of Nike Takis, or maybe it was just the environment I was in, but when I was younger, having a pair of Nike Takis was like, wow, you know. But nowadays it's just like, oh, it's just a regular
It's just a
brand
name.
Taki, even though it's still expensive. It's
Yes.
just a regular Taki, and people, yeah, they don't really care about the branding anymore. It's the style that they
It's the
chase,
style.
and they just keep increasing the prices. So it changes the way that we shop. It
Yes, it
changes
changes the way
the
we
way
shop.
that we shop, yeah, and how much we spend.
Because I think when it comes to name brands, if I have to touch on that, now people are more comfortable in buying dupes. They don't mind having the original as long as it looks good and as long as it looks presentable and it's following the trend. So as long as it fits a certain criteria, then a name brand doesn't really matter or concern people. And also, by these trends changing so fast, it forces people to buy at every occasion. You
Definitely.
cannot wear something that you've worn in January, in December, because people are going to be like, well, that's not in fashion right now. So you're wearing something that's so yesterday.
And also touching on what I was saying a question or two ago about curating your brand and Instagram. If I were to wear this shirt now for this interview, hello. If I were to wear this shirt again on
Yes.
Instagram, let's just say it wasn't today, they'd be like, oh, she's wearing that again. Like, people, not everybody cares about it, but some people will be like, why is she wearing that again? It just goes to show, like, I think there's a popular Mean Girls quote from the movie where it's like,
Yes.
if I'm not a fashion, I don't know if it's Mean Girls, but something about a fashion rememberer and a fashion repeater. That's a thing in today's culture, like wearing your clothes again. People don't see clothes as something you need to wear.
Yes,
They just,
continuously wear.
yeah, they just see it as,
It's
oh,
a
okay,
once off type of
this is
outfit.
the outfit, this is the
Yes.
look. Okay, now you can't wear that outfit again.
Yes.
So
And like before, people used to like change styles. Like if they've worn this outfit, then they would wear the outfit again. However, switch it out with other type of clothing and they're like, it's a brand new outfit. But
yes,
now people, a brand new outfit to them is more of finding other clothes to wear, buying other clothes. So these are just something you've worn, it's iconic, but it's only there for the, you can't be catched by someone else wearing that outfit
yeah, you
again
could
because
never be caught.
you've
Yeah,
worn it already. So it's more of a wear and discard type of thing, which is actually
rather
causing a
than
lot
a
of,
wear and treasure. Yeah.
yes, that is it. So we all know that people think fast fashion benefits the people who are buying it because it's cheap and it's easily accessible. But who actually really benefits from fast fashion?
So I definitely think that huge corporations obviously earn and benefit the most from fast fashion. I think that young people think they benefit from fast fashion. They really don't. I think that companies and corporations like Shein, Temu, there are many others, I'm sure, but they are the like very popular, very
Popular
prevalent.
Zara.
Zara, Steve Madden, like those types of shops or corporations, fashion companies, they definitely benefit the most from fast fashion. Any company in general, we can name a few local ones. Mr. Price, very prevalent, very very prevalent. Cotton On,
I'm even
H and
wearing a
M.
surprise shoes.
I don't even know what I'm wearing. Still, it changes so much you can never keep up. But like I'm saying, they just benefit the most because they earn the most money from it. The fashion industry makes some of the most wealthiest people in the world. So I definitely think they are the ones, and obviously the trend makers, the trendsetters, they
Because
definitely
they
benefit the
also get
most.
brand deals. They have to,
Definitely.
when they get sponsorships, they're able to, create content that actually, you know, I don't know, markets itself.
Definitely. Because
Because
they become the
the
brand. The
better
fashion
brand,
makes them the
people
brand.
only like things when it's on others.
Definitely.
Yes. So I think it's more of the influencer trend. It's
Yes.
entwined with fast fashion
Yes.
because
Influencers
people
definitely
are very
benefit.
attracted to things that look good. It doesn't have to be good, but it has to look good. As
Yes.
long as it's part of a trend, it goes viral, and there's a bit of traction.
I was so shocked because I don't think I've ever bought something of Shein, and I'm not saying that for applause.
For yes,
I just mean like I just haven't gotten around to ever getting something from Shein,
she,
but I have seen people, and I love with people who buy stuff from Shein, and it's so funny because when you scroll on the app, it's my favorite thing to do. Shopping and not buying anything.
Same.
But when I'm scrolling on the app, the clothes look so amazing. The quality looks really fun and, beautiful. And when you receive the clothes, the quality is actually quite cheap.
Cheap.
It's a really cheap quality, and you pay. Yes, you do pay cheap, but like shipping and all of the stuff
shipping,
makes it so
yes.
expensive. And when you receive it, like it'll be like polyester, but it's supposed to be cotton, or it will be like synthetic fabrics, and you're just like so confused because on the model it looked like
Good.
really good.
It's
And
yeah.
when you have it, it's like the total opposite. So
It's like that thing where it looks good, but it doesn't feel good.
yep, my mom had a saying, good from far but far from good.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
And also, I think Shein has a certain type of brand in South Africa before it became popular. It was seen as something very cheap and trustworthy, and people like, if you say, "Oh, I bought this from Shein," and they're like, "That's so cheap." But now, because of social media, people doing Shein hauls, and the popularity is almost on par with Nike, Adidas. How quickly social media turned the tide from something, the tide for Shein, where it was seen as something very cheap. Now it's seen as something very, you know, expensive. It's a brand on its own. You bought something from Shein, oh, that is so cool. Can I also buy it?
Did
It's
you know
like
they sell cosmetics too? She Glam.
they have everything. I
They
want
actually do have everything. They even have household appliances. They have
even wedding dresses. People are buying wedding dresses from Shein.
shoes.
And people are, and I think it's also has to do with accessibility. A lot of people haven't been able to access good looking clothes, because if you settle for something cheap, you are ought to find something that's not very appealing and not very appealing to trend. So a lot of people see Shein as something that has made fashion and dressing good more accessible. So it's more of a thing of, yeah, well, it's not ethical, but come on, we're expressing ourselves, and fashion is art, a political statement as well. So now that we've understood what are the basics and mechanics of fast fashion, we need to understand the global consequences of fast fashion. Yes, it's unethical, but why is it unethical? So, Tannith, how much waste does the fast fashion industry generate globally?
So we will never know exact numbers, of course, but these clothes are made with very synthetic fabrics that take years and years and years to decompose. And like you said, Shein, for example, is a very cheap, accessible way to find trendy clothes. But when you buy cheap clothes with synthetic fabrics, you have to know that these clothes don't last.
Yes.
And so what happens is, because the trend goes out, you can't even give them to somebody because they won't wear them because they're not trendy.
It's out of fashion.
Unless of course it's somebody who's really less fortunate and really needs them. If you don't have access to people that are in need in that way, then these clothes become discarded. And so that is where the waste comes from. Or let's just say, for example, the seam doesn't come out properly. So from the seamstress itself, the seam doesn't come out properly. What do they do with those clothes? They discard them. And it does a number on the earth, because a synthetic fabric is not natural. It doesn't biodegrade very easy.
Yes.
So it causes so much pollution, and it harms the biodiversity of, like in the environment. It harms our animals. They try to eat them, or if they get stuck in something similar to plastic, clothes are just as messy and just as wasteful.
Yes.
And
And also, clothes of these type of material can also take close to 2 to 3 decades to decompose.
Wow.
So that's a lot of time that is spent on earth, polluting earth. And it's I think it's quite impossible to get a number, but there's a lot of waste.
Yes, definitely.
And what impact do you think fast fashion has had on the environment and planet as a whole?
I think on the environment itself, fast fashion is very much something that separates us. It makes us not connect with each other, because you might not, but you're more likely to envy somebody who has access to all these types of trends. Whereas, so even me, for example, I sometimes think, oh my gosh, like if only I had the money to get to this, to buy clothes at this shop, I
Yes.
think I'll make it. Like,
I'll feel better.
I'll feel better about myself. But then put yourself in that position, and then it's like, oh, if only I had money to go to that more expensive shop. So it definitely changes our environment mentally. as the young people of society. And I think for the environment physically, I think, like I said in the previous question, it's definitely very dangerous to our biodiversity. It's very
Yes.
dangerous to the earth. The factories that are making the
Yes.
actual materials emit so many fumes that are very dangerous for our ozone layer, even though we are healing. Even though we are healing our ozone layer, it doesn't help to just keep, pumping up these brands because, yeah, and also for South Africa as in general, we don't source our own clothes. So we buy clothes from places like
Yes.
China, for example. Most of the clothes are made in China.
China.
So shipping, the oil in the ocean,
Ocean.
it's really
Bad for
detrimental to our
yes.
society. I mean, to our environments, really. It's like
So it's
quite
more
bad.
of a producing locally, but also sustainable. Like say,
Yes,
yeah,
sustainably.
sustainability. But also, I think if we touch on to our generation, they refer to us as future leaders. However, I think the saying should be changed. We are supposed to be present leaders of the matters we can actually control, matters we actually contribute to, and what we contribute to is fast fashion. Because I think the older generation are still stuck on, quality over quantity. But we've, gone astray from that. So I think what we can actually do is, because thrifting is quite popular with the younger generation, and that could actually do something to reduce fast fashion, slow it down, giving away clothes that you feel as if have passed its time, but however someone else might like it, and change its style in a way that it's a totally new outfit. And okay, so fast fashion has been described as a toxic system. What are the key social, economic, and environmental consequences of this system?
I think overconsumption is like a huge problem because, keep people keep buying clothes, so the need for clothes becomes greater. With that, exploitation of the workers becomes greater because the working conditions for people making the clothes that we use for fast fashion are immensely bad. Like, they are just terrible. These people get paid so little for the hours that they work. They can barely afford to feed their families, but they have to work. But now the workload increases, but so does the exploitation. So it creates a very toxic work product environment for us to be buying so many clothes all the
Clothes.
time. And then also, if you if you look at something that is similar, like the conditions that the people that make the clothes work in. Similarly, there was a story where somebody in Ethiopia, the kids, they harvest the
Yes, yes,
cacao
yes.
beans to make chocolate. And the boy was harvesting all these cacao beans, and one day, I think the owner of that farm, he had some chocolate in his hand and he gave it to the boy. The boy ate it and he was like, I've never tasted it before. Imagine,
That
he
is,
harvests cacao beans. He's been working there for I don't know how many years. It was from when he was a child. And the first time he tasted cacao beans, he was maybe like, I think he was 17 or 12, somewhere in his teens. But that's the horrible conditions that people in the industry work in, the factory workers, the seamstresses. They work in these horrible conditions where they are paid little to nothing, barely minimum wage to work hours and hours and hours, and they never
and
see it. They never reap the
yes,
rewards of it.
they never reap the rewards of it. It's because these corporations go to developing countries in order to set up their factories,
Definitely.
in order to avoid taxes, and so like they prey on the vulnerable. Because no matter how you can say, oh well, I'm getting exploited here, however you're gonna be like, but I need this little money. This little money might give me enough money to put some food on the table for 2 days. I might as well just work. And I think it's more of taking advantage where it's due.
Yeah.
you know it's also the way it's also fast fashion is marketed. You will market to a country where it's very expressive with their fashion. Like a big corporation won't market their products in a country where it's conservative and everyone basically wears the same thing. It has to go to a country where everyone is willing to express themselves. And while it's good to express yourself through fashion, however there needs to be a clear line drawn.
Definitely.
And I think this question also touches on what you said on who's most affected by the harmful practices of this system. You said it's, the less vulnerable, those like that boy who only tasted chocolate years later after work. It speaks of the environment and everything. But it's needless to say, it's the working class, but
Definitely.
also the lower
The lower
class.
class, yeah. Definitely the working class and the lower class are basically
Interact.
interconnected. And I think that we need to place more light on the situations that are like, harmful to our society, because we can.
So we've spoken about fast fashion. We've spoken of its global consequences. And is there a solution? Yes, there is. However, it needs work. Everyone needs to pull in, to make this work. They need to, we need to understand that yes, we can't consume everything ethically. However, where we can, push in and say no, we need to do something about this, we need to, make things work, we should. So counteracting fast fashion, I have only one question for you, because I know we still have a long way from debating and, understand that fast fashion is bad and make everyone actually agree with it. Now, when we get to counteracting fast fashion, what actions or strategies can individuals and communities take to counteract the negative effects of fast fashion?
So I think, like you mentioned, thrifting is
Yes.
a great solution. I think because, and the fact that we have these old trends that are coming back into fashion
Yes.
is very, very helpful to be able to thrift clothes. But I also think standing as an individual and being your own trend and being your own brand and not being afraid to stray away from the trends is also a very good remedy.
Yes.
And I think we should educate people more about the effects of fast fashion. Definitely 100%. I think the young people of society are so brave, and we are so, we have so much impact, we don't even realize it because of social media. So we can definitely make a change where change is due. So definitely thrifting, educating people, being an individual, having your own brand, that's definitely a short remedy for our huge, huge problem. But yeah, I think that's definitely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for tuning in and watching our video. We appreciate any comments, any likes, and any subscription. Um, we should thank our guest as well. Thank you for
Oh,
joining
thank you.
us.
It was a pleasure to be here. I
We
love to
really
talk.
appreciate. Okay, so see you later. See you on the next episode. It was a pleasure discussing fast fashion with our fashion editor. She has given us so much insightful comments on fast fashion, and while we have a long way to go with fast fashion and decentering it, we still need to have these conversations. So whoever listens can, make a small change in their life and then influence others to make a small change in their life. So see you later and thank you. Bye.